just when you thought that restaurants couldn't get any more woke, this restaurant in Minnesota is now adding a 15% equity charge, is what they're calling it. So this is a Broder's Pasta Bar in Minnesota, and they're announcing that they're adding a 15% equity charge to all bills because its customers are racist tippers. I kid you not. Okay? So they actually put out a whole statement on this. I'm not going to go through all of it, but just the kind of key things that kind of jumped out at me when they were talking about this. So this is where they're asking, what are the benefits and what is this equity charge? And it says, historically, restaurants have relied on customer tipping to supplement the wages of its customer-facing service staff. It is part of a traditional restaurant economic model, and many states have allowed reduced minimum wages for service staff in the form of a tip credit. Studies have also shown that there is inequity in built-in bias in the way customers give tips. In general, black or brown servers receive less tips than Caucasian servers. There is gender bias as well. In restaurants, immigrants and people of color work mostly in the kitchens and have no access to gratuities to supplement their hourly wage. Now, the fact is that when we're looking at, first of all, a little bit about what it's talking about here, the first thing that it says is that in general, black or brown servers receive less tips than Caucasian servers, is what they're saying. Now, once again, when you hear these statements, there has to be some kind of statistical data to back this up, or else you're making stupid claims that don't make any sense, right? And when you're talking about these specific types of things here, what they are leaving out very clearly is, first of all, this is not at their restaurant. Right? This is not at their restaurant. I'm assuming they're citing something else because it's saying in general, not at our restaurant, but just in general, that's the way it is. So when we're talking about in general, well, where are most of the black servers at? They're probably serving in black neighborhoods where black people also tip historically low as well. That's something that they don't want to talk about because the studies showing black tippers or people that are the black customers that go into these restaurants that are majority black owned or whatever in the black neighborhoods, those people tip far less than white people would in more white suburban areas or whatever. And that's the problem, is that they're leaving all of this data out. The other thing too is that they're saying, well, immigrants and people of color mostly work in the kitchens. Well, it might be because when immigrants come over to the United States, they don't have any specific skills you typically in working in a restaurant field like this oftentimes, so that's where they go to do that. But once again, are you blaming the restaurants for this? It's their choice to work in the kitchens at these restaurants. It's their choice to do that. But of course, they're ignoring the actual context of the data. Now it goes on and it says, in the wake of racial injustice protests and closure due to COVID, now is the time for Broder's to reimagine its economics and provide fair pay across the company. Minnesota does not allow restaurants to impose an automatic gratuity and pool tips. What we can do is impose a benefits and equity charge on our sales that is not a gratuity. Our benefits and equity charge is applied entirely to employee compensation. The supplement helps us set a $16 minimum hourly wage for customer-facing employees and $18 an hour minimum hourly wage for kitchen employees, more with increased responsibility, above all government standards, to provide benefits of paid time off and health insurance, and to distribute 5% of daily revenue to all employees, based on hours worked. Although this allows everyone in our company to earn a real living wage, or altogether it allows for them to do that. Now, the thing is once again, what they're really trying to do here is to skew these statistics and make it seem as if for some reason that the people that show up to these restaurants are just racist somehow. Yet they have no legitimate proof themselves. Now you're going in here, you're saying you're going to a restaurant and they're literally charging you 15% more and saying it's an equity charge. But if you look at what they're adding in here, it really doesn't have anything to do with race at all if you think about it, because it's just the fact that they're saying, well, we want to provide a $16 minimum wage here. We want to provide an $18 minimum wage for the people in the kitchen. That's what it sounds like they're doing. Now, I don't see what that specifically has to do with race. I don't understand that. Because really what you're doing is if you're saying, hey, look, our restaurants want to provide, we want to maybe make everybody in the restaurant get paid $20 an hour, and as a result, we're just going to raise the prices of the food. Why not just say that? Why is it that they're adding in this 15% additional fee? The fact is that nobody's going to go to this restaurant. That's what's going to happen. Right now, the thing is too, is that even if they go to this restaurant, they're not going to tip. I wouldn't. They're already getting another 15%. The reason why people tip in restaurants is because they typically know that waiters aren't getting paid all that much money, and they tip based off of the service that they get. When you get exceptional service, you tip a lot more money. When you get really bad service, you don't tip as much money. It's a direct feedback kind of thing that people can usually tell. Don't get me wrong, you're going to have people in there that don't tip much of anything at all, and then you're going to have people in there that are huge tippers. But many servers in many different places make a ton of money doing that because people actually appreciate what they're doing. I don't think they're going to want to do that when they walk into a restaurant knowing that they're already paying 15% more just because of reasons, and especially when they find out that those reasons are because that restaurant thinks that you are automatically and inherently racist. While looking at data that doesn't really prove the point, that's just kind of out there in the ether. Saying that black and brown servers get tipped less than white servers is just as stupid as talking about the pay gap between men and women. You're just pointing out what, if you take all the collective data together, shows, but you never ask why it's showing that. You never look at, oh, men are working significantly more hours than women are. Or what about if they're actually equally qualified for a job or not equally qualified for a job? Same thing goes here. What about the neighborhoods that they're in? Maybe it's the fact that most black servers are serving food in black neighborhoods with black customers, and black people just don't tip that much, and it's them that are being the worst. Like I said, you don't believe me? Open up a restaurant in a black neighborhood, and you'll see who the real racist tippers really are. Because you're not going to get tipped that much at all. That's just a fact. But they're going to, of course, leave that out because they don't care about the real facts of what the situation is calling for here. But this restaurant isn't going to last long doing this kind of stuff. Most people are just going to say, no, write it off, and they're going to go somewhere else. You can't call your customers racist while asking them to pay more money as well. It's not how this works. But once again, we live in a free market where, hey, if they want to do that, let them go ahead and do that. But the customers are also free to just not show up there. And they're free to go out of business. You just watched a clip from The William Hall Show. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.